Hi, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, perhaps, depending where you are. My name is Jai Dave, and really happy to be here with you. I think we're going to have a beautiful time today, and I know a lot of you are spending is a holiday weekend for you. It's a holiday weekend for me, and thank you for being here, and really happy that you chose to give it a try, to jump in. And I know some of you are, you've done many classes with me, and many of you, I believe, are checking this out for the first time. So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm very grateful that you are here, and I will do my very best to help to make this a really worthwhile use of your time. And I'm excited, and I feel very confident that we're going to have a great time, and that we're going to do something that is very useful. Because regardless of where you live, or who you are, or what your thing is, what your lifestyle is, how you look, any of those types of things, we all are interested in one thing, and that is the same thing. And every single one of us is interested in being happy. That's a human thing. It has nothing to do with all the other details that get in the way often, don't they? Our political persuasions or our religious persuasions or all these things, is that you can't find me a person on the planet Earth. And I travel all over the place. I travel all over the world teaching the Kundalini Yoga. And yet to come across a person that isn't genuinely interested in happiness. And some of us have different ways of trying to get there, and a lot of the ways that we do are certainly ineffective and ultimately don't work, and sometimes cause destruction to us or others. And then there's other ways that actually do work and have been known about for thousands of years, and this is one of them. It's a science of just how to use the human body, and how to use the mind, and how to use the breath, and how to use all the things that you have as a human being to make the internal condition, to change the way that the energy moves in your body so that it gives rise to contentment within your mind. Simple. That's a very, very simple starting place. Wouldn't you agree that what if we could change the internal environment in a certain way, both physically, energetically, mentally, in a certain way that it would kind of create this type of a space that perhaps could hold your mind in a relative contentment? As a starting point, that's all we're really asking for, is not that we're doing something that is going to just in 1 hour, we'll be here an hour, maybe 90 minutes, to completely, change your life. That wouldn't be realistic. And yet, I do think within 60 minutes, 90 minutes, I'm going to try to keep it closer to 60, but we'll see. Sometimes it just starts getting good and I want to keep going. I do think it's very realistic that within this period of time, we can do something that is powerful enough and simple enough that we can be like, whoa, that has immediate impact. And that is something that I could get behind and I could do more of. And that's just my wish. And, some of you may do this and feel like, yeah, okay, cool, but not for me. And that's fine too. So we're just here to see if we can do something that will have a substantive effect on our lives. And it certainly has had a substantive effect on my life. And I just want to share some of these very simple practices with you. And those of you who are longer time practitioners and decided to come to this, so I'm happy you're here. This class is very much designed for beginners, people who are newer or brand new to this, have never tried Kundalini Yoga. Perhaps you've never even tried yoga. Perhaps we're meeting for the first time. And that's who we wanted to do this for today, on this Friday in late November. And so if we are meeting for the first time, introduce myself again. My name is Jai Dave. I live in Northern California with my family. I have a wife. Her name is Simmer. You hear her music That's all the music I'll play is her music in this class today. And we have a son. He's 12 years old, and we have a cozy life here in Northern California, but we travel quite a bit, and we're super happy to be here right now because we travel so much. It's always a blessing. Like being home is like our vacation, because the vast majority of all our travel is work travel, and we love it, and yet it still, becomes wearing. So anyhow, we go all over the place, and I'm always meeting people, and so I've had the pleasure and really the honor of just meeting people all over the planet and introducing them to this stuff that I'm going to introduce to you today. For instance, we were just in South America, and we had a group there for a week, and then we finished in Lima, the big city in Peru, and teaching a workshop there, and a room full of people, just meeting them for the first time. And it was only a couple-hour workshop. But just in like that one workshop, we were able to just open up something, that because I had to have a translator, of course. I don't speak Spanish, and most of them didn't speak English. And so the barriers of differences were very, very obvious right from the get-go. And they come in with a healthy type of skepticism, which I'd imagine many of you have right now. It's like, who is this guy? What's with the beard? What's with the turban? And all that kind of thing. But then by the end of the thing, it's just a wide open space, like where there was just such a obvious connectivity between us, because these practices just make you human again and get back into the more substantive parts of life. And kind of what I kind of think of, they shrink the less important parts of life. I sometimes will tell students when I'm teaching, I say, well, we're going to perform a certain fundamental magic trick here this evening. And that magic trick is we're going to shrink our problems. And what I mean by that is that you may come into, perhaps today, you may come into this class. Some of you may be drawn to this just because it's, something you've heard about. It sounds cool, sounds interesting. I want to kind of check it out. Other people you may be in great pain. You may be having such a pain in your life that you're looking for something. And I hope that this will provide you some help in that regard. And I believe it very much will. And so many people come for many different reasons. But what I mean by shrinking the problems is that I may come into this and I have some like really strong stress in my life. It's really like pressuring me, and I'm really stressed out about it. I'm super anxious, or I'm super depressed, or I'm super angry, whatever the case may be. Those are the three main kind of tripod of emotions that all the emotions fall under. Fear on one hand, depression on the other hand, and then in the middle is anger. And those come from the yogic understanding, which is very practical, very easy to understand. You don't have to be a scientist, psychologist, anything like that. Is that they come from the elements. Or if there's too much earth and water in a person, it creates too much heaviness. There's too much air in a person, it creates too much anxiousness. Too much fire in a person, it's caused anger. And so it's very simple, but yes, very profound. On one hand, it's so simple that these types of things I've taught to my son since he was very, very young, and he gets them really well, and it really helps him in his life. I know that 100% for a fact. And yet they're so sophisticated and profound, you can get into this stuff for the rest of your life, and you never reach the end, because it's infinite understanding of how do you're the end of how much happier, wiser, or content, or loving that I can be. It will never end. So anyhow, shrinking the problems. I come into this situation and perhaps I may have like a great anxiety. But then we'll do in a minute what we call tune in. We'll tune in to begin the practice. And then by the time we close the practice, one more time at the end, it's like, the problem didn't disappear in my life. The whatever was producing the stress didn't disappear, and perhaps there is still some stress, but the stress now feels just so much less powerful. It's lost its magnitude. It's lost its dominance over me. And what has expanded, which is the second part of the magic trick, so to speak, fun way of talking about it. The second part of the magic trick is that I've expanded, I've grown, I've increased my sense of confidence, my sense of clarity, and my sense of contentment. That's the fundamental magic trick I'm talking about, is shrinking the stress and expanding the confidence and the contentment and their sense of clarity. Now, this has zero to do with a head wrap and a beard or a religion or any of that stuff. Tell me who isn't interested in that, in increasing contentment, decreasing stress, because you're not actually doing anything outside of you. Because the stimulus of the stress, whatever that relationship may be, maybe it's something within the marriage, maybe it's something at work, maybe it's financial, it could be anything, right? Anything. So we're not changing that. We're not changing anyone else, but we're changing our internal condition. We could say, well, you're changing your perception, but it's even deeper than that. That's what ends up happening. Your perception changes. But how and why does your perception change? The perception changes because you change the way that the life force, the energy in the body, what the yogis call prana, or in the Chinese system, medicine system, or they call qi, which is the life force. So if you're going to go to an acupuncturist, for instance, they'll apply they'll needle the acupuncture points, which adjust the flow of the energy. So Oriental old medicine systems knew very much about the very fine detail of how life force, chi or prana, energy is a simple way to refer to it, operates in the body, and that gives rise to, number one, how well is your physiology operating? Is the body working optimally and efficiently and in a healthy way? Are the organs able to work in a healthy way? Are the tissue layers of the body able to remain strong and clean and not too toxic? Because if the body becomes very toxic, then of course that's problem numero uno. It's dangerous for the health. But the second part of that is, when the body becomes overly toxic, then the mind becomes dull, and the mind also becomes toxic. Because important is the body, but even more important is the mind. But here's the great wisdom of yoga, is that actually your body is part of the mind. Your muscles are part of your mind. Your bloodstream is part of your mind. If you don't believe that, what happens if you get a low blood sugar, for instance? Low blood sugar, and you need to eat lunch, and so then all of a sudden what happens then? Your problems don't shrink, your problems increase. Everything that was potentially stressful or potentially irritating is now extremely irritating. But then you eat lunch, and then okay, everything's good again, everything's fine. So we've all had that kind of experience, or I think most of us have. And so, or you can get hot-blooded. The blood gets too hot and you get very angry and red. We all know that person who's got the just consistent red face, the red part never seems to go away, and often can be an angry person. And so you see, here's the beauty of it. It's like in the nucleus of every individual, what every individual really is, you and I, at the center of us is pure love, pure awareness, pure intelligence. This is the really foundation of the yogic thinking, which is very important to have a little bit of a sense of to get into the practice. Because we could dive right into the practice right away and it will work. But if you have a little bit of understanding before we get into it, then how you approach the practice and how well it will work will be increased. So if you can change the internal life force condition by using the breath and using the body to change the mind, that's very powerful. It's very difficult to change the mind with the mind. If you're in a very anxious place, you can try to rationalize your way out of an anxiety. That almost never works if that anxiousness has good strength and momentum. You know what I'm saying? Or say you're in an argument with your husband or wife, and you're very irritated by what they're doing or saying, and they're very irritated with whatever you're doing or saying. You can't at that point the intellect and the rationale does not work very good. It's very hard to rationalize yourself out of a bad mood. And it's even more difficult to rationalize somebody else out of a bad mood. If I'm in a funk, whether it be on one side anxiousness, which comes with fear, worry, uh, um, anxiety, overwhelm. These are all in that one section. Second section on the other side, you have depression, heaviness, lethargy, complacency, all of these types of things. There's no real zest for life. And then in the middle, you have fire. These are the three pillars. You have fire, and that has to do with anger, resentment, envy, jealousy, and all of those types of things. Those are all anger, passive-aggressive behavior. All these types of things we're all dealing with all the time as human beings. So it's good to understand them and to, first of all, create a space in our lives that allows them. It's like there's nothing wrong with anger. There's nothing wrong with sadness. There's nothing wrong with fear and worry. The only thing that's wrong is when they're dominating our lives. So we need to have a deeper type of strength within us, a deeper type of vitality within us, so that when those things do arise in our lives, and as long as we're in a human body, they will from time to time, and often, and perhaps quite often. So we need to have the type of mental strength, physical vitality, and the flow of spirit in our life, of love, really. It's all it is. We have to have a condition where love prevails, where vitality prevails, and mental clarity can prevail, so that when these things do arise, that they don't dominate us. And in fact, when we get really good, we can use them to our benefit and to others' benefit. For instance, I was just watching there's this pretty new documentary on HBO. Some of you may have seen. It's called The Defiant Ones, and a really good film. I really recommend it. But it's on Dr. Dre, hip-hop producer, MC, and Jimmy Iovine, the great record producer and business person. And it's about their relationship and both of their life's journey. And Jimmy Iovine said something really powerful, I thought. He said, for most people, fear is something that stops them in their tracks. It's a paralyzing. So in other words, he said it acts like a headwind. So he said, if you can figure out how to turn fear into a tailwind, so it actually can propel you forward in your life, that is very, very powerful. And that is exactly the type of thing that this Kundalini yoga practice does. And we're going to have a taste of it today, and we're about to jump in. And that's what we do. We change the internal space that then changes our experience of our external life. And so if we're really not shrinking the problem, you're really not shrinking the stress, you know what you're really doing? You're expanding your lens. The energy circulates in the body, the magnetic field strengthens, and all of a sudden what used to seem enormous and intimidating and overwhelming to me now is just not that big of a deal. And furthermore, when that lens expands, what I really am, real awareness, real love in the center of me. Forget all the other details. In the center of me and in the center of you is love. And so now we've created a space where what we really are, and love is just a word, what we really are is beyond the words and beyond the mind's ability to comprehend it in its normal thinking state. That's why we use meditation, to get underneath the thinking, to where it's like, boom, something emerges within your own experience that gives you a bigger experience of what you really are. And that's the heart of Kundalini Yoga, to have a bigger experience of what you really are. And that, my friends, will overflow into every part of your life. Because when you're confident, and your confidence isn't coming from anything superficial, like the way you look, or how much money is in the family's bank account, or whatever the case may be, when the confidence is coming from you've had an experience of yourself that filled you up, that made you start to fall in love with yourself. That's the heart of it. Because when you start to fall in love with what you really are, not what you are on the surface and in you know, your ethnicity or your religion or how you dress or your lifestyle or your favorite team or any of that stuff, but what you really are deep, deep, deep in the subtle parts of yourself at the level of your soul. And that becomes your experience. You'll have no chance against it. You will fall in love with what you are, with who you are. And that, my friends, overflows into everything. And that's what we're here to do. And that's what the heart of the practice is. So let's give it a try. And then at the end of our time together today, I'm going to share with you, those of you who want to keep doing this and want to take a deeper dive and say, hey, I would love to do a little bit of this, you know, at home every day, or, you know, at least a couple times a week. And I'd like to, because the consistency in doing it, we'll have a good experience today, but the real power from it comes when you do it, have some consistency with it. And so slowly but surely you can really build upon that experience of love inside of yourself. The body starts to get real vitality. The mind starts to get real clarity. And when the body has good vitality and the mind has clarity, everything else in life tends to take care of itself. Whatever problems come your way, you will have the vitality and the clarity to deal with them. And any opportunities that come your way, you'll also have the vitality and the clarity to make the best of them. So I'm going to take a sip of water, and then we're going to begin. All right. Take your hands into prayer pose. Palms together, center of your chest. And we're going to close the eyes. And I know a lot of, some of this will be brand new to you guys. I may not explain every single detail, but just give it a shot, yeah? Open your mind, open your heart, and let's see, just try, T-R-Y. Close your eyes. What we need to do is use the body and use the breath and use the mind to change the space. So that will take your participation and concentration and open-heartedness to give that a chance. So please inhale deep. And then exhale. Close the eyes and press the palms together with a type of like a gentle firmness, as if you're encouraging the two hemispheres of the brain to coordinate through the pressure of your palms, as if you're encouraging the glands of the body to secrete through the pressure of the palms. And now please take your deepest inhale through your nose only. And suspend the breath in for a moment. And now through the nose, exhale. The breath is always through the nose unless we say specifically otherwise, but the default is always through the nose. Inhale deeply. And suspend the breath for a moment. And exhale. Now I want you to keep doing that. Keep the posture together, palms pressed, and inhaling deeply. Suspending for a moment, and then exhaling completely. And as I continue to guide you, please keep that breath continuing. So as you continue with the breathing, now try to roll your eyes, roll the two eyes up and in to the point where your eyebrows would meet with your eyes closed, where the root of your nose meets your skull bone. See if you can bring the optic nerve into that point. The space of intuition and the space of your pituitary gland. So you're inhaling. Suspend the breath. Draw your gaze up into that point. Keep your heart out, chest out, shoulder blades dropped. Exhale completely. And push all the breath out. Actually, the secret to the yogic breath is finish your exhales. Push it all out, out, out. Now deep inhale. Suspend the breath. Open the chest. Drop the shoulders. Now see if you can please draw that gaze up into the what we call the third eye point, or the pituitary point. And exhale completely. All the breath must go out. Then inhale. Good. Keep the pressure on the palms. It's firm, yet it's also relaxed. And you draw the gaze into that space of the third eye. Beautiful. It's a good start. You know, most people breathe through their mouth, and so that only gets your breath into the very upper part of the lungs. And did you know that you have receptor sites in the upper part of your lungs that activate the sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight response, keeping a person always in this kind of subtle stress mode, always on edge. But you have receptor sites in the lower parts of your lungs for the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's the part of the nervous system, that's the response that makes you calm and centered. So if you're walking down the road and you saw a bear, which you could in my neighborhood, we live kind of in the woods here in Northern California, you go, perhaps, unless you're used to seeing bears, and then you maybe just, look at a beautiful bear. So you take an inhale, you go, and so sometimes it's appropriate to have a fight or flight response when you're in danger. But most people are subconsciously walking around with this kind of fight or flight response the vast majority of their life, and they rarely get into that deeper parasympathetic, calm, clear response from your nervous system. So what we need to do is we need to train, first of all, our body how to breathe properly. And to start to train us to breathe through the nose predominantly, which will give you a deeper and slower breath. You only have so many breaths here on this planet. You might as well slow that down so you can prolong your life. And you can give your body more glow and more vitality. You can have brightness and you can have beauty. And that starts with your breath. Now bring the hands back to prayer pose. Close the eyes. Inhale deep, suspend. Roll the gaze up, and then exhale. Now see if simultaneously you can hold this as if it's very important, and there's this type of regalness to your posture and your presence. And yet it's not that big of a deal. See if you can hold that vibe simultaneously. It's very important because it has to do with the quality and the happiness and the love in your life. And yet, in order for that to really emerge, you have to also be relaxed. It's not that big of a deal, yeah? Nothing is ultimately that big of a deal. Inhale deep. Suspend the breath. Relax the shoulder blades. And exhale. And I would like you to keep doing that breath for just a few more moments. And then we're going to tune in. And we tune in using a mantra. And this is how we start every practice in Kundalini Yoga. And the mantra, you don't need to know it now. If you go into the full course with us, you'll learn all about all the details. For today, let's get an experience, and let's not worry about the details too much. The mantra is Ong, which is O-N-G, and when you chant that mantra, it vibrates your frontal lobe, which is the home of the pituitary and the evolutionary centers of the brain. When the reptilian part of the brain is dominant, we're more reactive. When the frontal lobe is given energy, you have a more wise, calm response. So, and then Namo. Namo vibrates the heart. No. These are just seed sounds that vibrate different centers of the psyche as they exist in your body. Namo. And then we take a little sip of breath through the mouth. And then you say, Guru. Guru means light. Guru. But the right pronunciation is guru because the tongue flicks the upper palate, which stimulates your hypothalamus. Guru Dev. Dev is like the divine. Namo. So what it's really saying, if you wanted to translate it, which you don't need to actually, because more importantly is what is the vibration of the sounds doing to the body and the mind, not what does it mean. What it means is based on what the sounds are doing to the body and the mind. All mantric languages work like that, whether it's Sanskrit as this or Hebrew, etc. Even our English language, people don't realize this, is one of the root languages of English is Sanskrit, the sounds that we're chanting. So anyways, Namo opens the heart. Gurudev is the light within you, the wisdom within you. So what it's saying is, what I'm doing is making myself a vehicle for the wisdom that's already inside of me to come through. And I'm calling that in, and I'm kind of tuning, almost like a tuning fork to that vibration. So we chant it 3 times, and we'll begin the exercises. Inhale deep. Prayer pose, please. Exhale. Please inhale deep. Suspend the breath in. Relax the chest area. Keep the breath in. Now please draw that gaze up and in towards your third eye, where the root of your nose meets the skull bone. And exhale. Beautiful. All right, here we go, folks. Now you can be sitting, ideally sitting on the floor, like on a yoga mat or like a rug or anything like that's fine. We do mostly sitting exercises today because it just works better for this setup. I can't really stand up and you see what I'm doing. But we have plenty of powerful exercises we can do right here. That's going to be awesome. But you can also be on a chair if you need to be. Just make yourself comfortable. There's an ideal and then there's the real. And you should just do the real. And if your real happens to be the ideal, well, great. But if not, that's great too. Just whatever you can do. So most of us will be sitting on the floor. But if you're in a chair, your feet are flat on the floor. And your hands will be on your lap. If you're sitting on the floor, your hands are going to be at your ankles or your shins. I'm going to get the music rolling. And if you have good speakers or headphones or something, you might even enjoy it more. The music's a beautiful part of the practice. Hands are on your ankles or shins, of course on your lap. Eyes are closed, but you might not want to watch me first. You're going to inhale, lifting the chest forward, lifting the heart up towards like the ceiling, but also forward is spinal flex. Inhale, lift forward, exhale back, like that. I'll turn to the side so you can see it that way too. You can go as slow as you need to. You can go more quickly. The eyes are closed and draw the gaze up to that third eye space. And the breath is pretty strong. It's not a deep, long breath, but it's kind of strong breath. Breathe like you're trying to lift yourself, like you're trying to energize the cells of the body with your very breath. Another 45 seconds, continue. 15 seconds, concentrate up into the third eye. Powerful breathing. Inhale deeply. Now suspend the breath. Keep the breath in, but relax the shoulder blades down. Relax the chest. Draw the gaze up. And exhale. Beautiful. The most important part of every one of these exercises is the very end of the exercise, when I'll go inhale deep, and then you're going to suspend the breath. You're magnetic. Every organism on planet Earth is magnetic. Even down to single cell organisms have polarity. And that's why everything has an electromagnetic field. And so you're very much working with your magnetic field. And so you're provoking polarity. Inhale, exhale, forward, back, up, down, good, bad, male, female, etc., etc., etc. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the exercise, inhale deep, and then you're going to suspend the breath. Draw the gaze. This is the neutralizing point of the third eye. It invokes a meditative mind, intuitive mind, clear-mindedness. And then you just be still and try to just get out of the way. Imagine like you're an emptied vessel at that point. Let's try it. Inhale deep. Suspend the breath. Draw the gaze up. And exhale. Bravo. Hands are on your shoulders, fingers in front, thumbs in the back. And spinal twists are opening the center channel of the body. Inhale left, exhale right. Still, the breath is through the nose. Continue, please keep up. Make the breath kind of powerful as I'm opening up the spine. You want to stay young, keep the body young, keep the body glowing. You have to keep your spine healthy and supple. Good. Another 25 seconds of the spinal twist. You continue, please. Inhaling left, exhaling right. Eyes are closed. Because you need that energy going inward, not with your awareness going outward. A few more moments. Powerful breathing. Now here we go, our magic moment. Now please, to the center, deepest inhale. Suspend the breath, draw the gaze up. Now, lift up through the perineum area, rectum, sex organ, navel, up and in. Draw the gaze up, suspend the breath. And exhale. We're getting there, yeah? Okay, when I say that, lift the root lock, rectum, sex organ, and navel. Navel is actually, in this case, just under your belly button. It's lifting up that area and then bringing your attention to the third eye point. Where your attention goes, life force flows. When life force energy is constricted, overly constricted, in the lower part of the body, it's called the lower triangle, then that causes the subconscious mind to dominate the conscious mind. So that's, if you can lift that energy up into the heart center, up into the higher centers of the psyche, pituitary, pineal glands, then all of a sudden the subconscious mind loses its power over you. And so that's why, because all of us have good intentions for ourselves, but very few people are able to actualize those intentions. Otherwise, we keep doing our same dumb stuff over and over and over, regardless of our good vision and intention for ourselves. That's because that energy must get circulated and feed the higher centers so the magnetic field expands, so the mind is given contentment. If the mind doesn't have contentment, it will fight to find contentment, but it will do it unconsciously and subconsciously. And that keeps us in our old habits, and the old, what we call non-supportive habits or non-promoting habits, that keep us doing the same old things, but slowly makes us less of what we are, less vitality, less clarity, less happiness. We're trying to replace those old habits with promoting habits, the habits that make us more of what we really are, more vitality, more clarity, more brightness, more glow. Okay? Now, hands on your knees, shoulder shrugs, opening up this whole center area of the body. You're going to inhale up, exhale, release. I need you to keep your chest lifted, chin slightly tucked, and every exhale, let the shoulder blades release down the back, eyes closed, powerful breathing. Keep up, powerful breath. Every exhale, please release the tension and the stress that's accumulated in the upper back, neck, and shoulders. And so if you can even go quicker, but just do what's comfortable for you. Eyes closed, and draw the gaze up to that pituitary point. Last little bit, powerful breathing, please. Now inhale and squeeze up. Squeeze out the tension, neck and shoulders, and release. And now very gentle neck rolls. The jaws relax, the tongue is relaxed, mouth is slightly open. Now if you have any pre-existing injuries, you should always modify this, and if you have any sort of medical conditions, always check with your doctor to make sure any of this is cool. So always feel free to modify and change anything that you feel you need to. You should make sure you can do this in a relatively comfortable type of way. Now switch directions. And inhale to the center. And exhale. You're listening, this is my wife Simrat and her new live album that's coming out soon. Alright, and I'm the #1 fan. Stretch your legs out wide, but look her up. She tours all over. Awesome. Okay, so you're gonna stretch your legs out wide, like a V shape, yeah? And flex your feet. You're gonna inhale to the center, turn a little to the left, exhale down. Inhale to the center, turn a little to the right, exhale down. Deep inhale. Complete exhales. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Obviously you can't see my legs, but you get the point. Inhaling up, exhaling down. And keep going. Continue, please. Kundalini Yoga can be as athletic and aerobically intense as anything else. And it can be so simple and so accommodating that we have classes for people who are live their lives mostly in wheelchairs and are handicapped, physically handicapped in some way. And it works perfect for them too. There's such a wide variety of what you can do as part of a Kundalini Yoga practice that there's people who are bedridden. We give them meditations and exercises that they can do. So keep going, inhaling up, exhaling down. It'll meet you where you're at. Good, a few more moments, keep going. And inhale to the center. And relax and shake out the legs. Okay, come back, sit in easy pose. Just with your legs crossed or back on your chair. Alright, so here we go. A couple real powerful exercises. And then we're going to finish with a very beautiful meditation I think you're going to love. So here we are. We're going to come, your hands are going to be in what's called Gyan, the wisdom mudra. Index finger is coming and seals to your thumb, like a wisdom seal. Like that. That's what you see, the classic meditation posture. And that's because your body is very much like an instrument. And the fingers, you can almost think of them, they're like antenna. And this is what they call the Jupiter finger, is the old name for it. And Jupiter is the part of the mind. Really, it is part of the mind. And Jupiter is the part of the mind that gives you wisdom and guidance. And so the thumb is the, has ego energy. It's one way to explain it. I don't want to get too deep into it today, keeping it simple, but giving you a little context. So you're taking your wisdom and you're connecting it to your sense of ego. Wise thing to do. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go both hands like that, wisdom seal, palms facing up on your knees. Chest is lifted. Why do we do all this? We're trying to put the physical body in a position that is optimal for the life force energy to circulate well in our body and thus give us a brighter energy, brighter clarity. It's very, very simple in concept. More difficult in practice not to do it, but to be consistent with doing it. And that's why at the end of this thing, I'm going to share with you the Bright and Beautiful course that is beginning next week. And hopefully you'll jump in and do it with us so that you can do these types of things consistently. And that's where the real power comes in. So hands on your knees, chest lifted up. And what we're going to do is make an O-shaped mouth. This time we're going to be breathing through our mouth, okay? Anytime it gets too much or overwhelming or anything, just relax. You can even lay down, okay? O-shaped mouth, chest lifted, chin slightly in, eyes closed. And roll that gaze up into the third eye point and O-shaped puckered lips. And it will be like this. Exhale and inhale are equal. Eyes closed, chest out, shoulders back, and that breath. When all of my thoughts are with you. Powerful breathing. seconds to go. Through the mouth, your deepest inhale, and lift through that root-like rectum, sex organ, navel. Draw your gaze up, heart open. Now squeeze the body and squeeze the spine. Squeeze the spine as if to distribute the energy. And then through the mouth, exhale like a cannon fire. 2 more times, inhale deep. Squeeze the spine, lift that root lock, draw your gaze up and squeeze the body as if to distribute the life force energy into every cell of your body. Squeeze tight, tight, and then fire out. Last time, deepest inhale. Squeeze tight, tight, squeeze tight. Powerful exhale. And just meditate for a moment with your eyes closed. Let the breath flow naturally. And draw the gaze up. And be still and just let the body breathe. Okay, wonderful. Yeah. Okay, now one more of these, and then we're gonna do move on from there. How about that? This time we're gonna do that same mudra is what they're called, finger positions, and we're gonna have them on the knees again. This similar breath, but this time through the nose. It's called the breath of fire. Okay, so here we go. You're gonna be doing this same thing, but now through the nose, like a. Listen, my friends, all of this takes practice. So if some of it's not coming right away and it's your first time, well, that's to be expected, you know. Anything you do the first time is not going to be, you know, spot on right away. It might take a few times. So for today, just do your best and then have fun with it as much as possible. So you're going to close the eyes. Chest is lifted. I like to say heart is open. Center of the chest is the heart center. And that's the same thing as saying straighten the spine. But if you keep your chest out, shoulders back, you have bigger magnetic energy. That's why it's more attractive when people have held up chest instead of sunken down. So chest is up, then the spine will take care of itself. You're creating the optimum environment for life force to move. Okay? So eyes are closed. You're going to inhale. Inhale deep. And again, suspend and see if you can be completely still and empty. Imagine like you're emptied like a vessel. And draw the gaze up, lift up through rectum, sex organ area. Open your chest, relax the shoulder blades, be still. Exhale completely. Now inhale deeply. Suspend the breath. Now push your underside of your tongue against the upper palate of your mouth and draw the gaze up. Lift that root low. Exhale. Inhale again. Suspend it. Exhale. Okay, beautifully done. We're getting there, yeah? Breath of fire. Now, for those of you who happen to be pregnant, or if you're on your menstrual cycle, then do lighter breath of fire, or if it's a heavy part of your menstrual cycle or you're well along in your pregnancy, just do long, deep breaths when we're doing the breath of fire. Okay, so here we go for the next, this is called the aura charge is how it's just commonly referred to. And it's a very simple exercise. We're going to do it for 2 to 3 minutes. Now here's the thing, what's going to happen is your fingers are going to be tucked in and your thumbs are going to be extended out, and then the arms are going to come to 60 degrees like this, and the eyes are going to be closed to the best of your ability of focusing the third eye with this breath of fire. Okay, if you need to, just do long deep breathing and come back into the breath of fire when you can. And so what you want to do is, at a certain point in this exercise, it's very likely, especially if you're new, that at a certain point you're going to want to drop those arms. Gravity starts to take a hold. But if you can keep up and continue with the breath, and to the best you can continue with the gaze, you will move through a critical threshold that when you're done with the exercise will be like, wow. Feel this very nice lifted energy, expansive energy. Because if you keep your arms up at 60 degrees, it will draw the energy from the lower part of the body, which is also the lower part of the psyche, up into circulating and feeding the higher centers. Okay? So, shall we give it a try? All right, bring your arms up to 60 degrees. Chest is out. Shoulder blades are dropped. Eyes are closed. Inhale deep. Beautiful. Keep up. Keep going. Now see if you can recommit into the exercise. Maintain the posture. Bring your gaze up, and as you continue, breath of fire, imagine that there's a beautiful arc of light connecting your two thumbs. And the deeper your concentration on it, the brighter it becomes. With the rhythms. Heart open, shoulder blades dropped, arms extended, keep with it. Now see if you can imagine like your entire body filled with a beautiful radiance, a beautiful light, and it's emanating out in every direction. Imagine, expand your energy like you're glowing, a field of beautiful, brilliant light emanating from the center of you in every direction, affecting everyone and everything in your life. Breath of fire. 10 seconds. Now deepest inhale. And bring your thumb tips above your head touching. Open your fingers and stretch your fingers wide. Fingers tight like steel. Drop the shoulder blades down the back. Squeeze the spine. Touch the ceiling with your fingertips. Stretch through the spine. And exhale. Slowly relax. And let's meditate for a moment. Beautiful. Inhale, please. And exhale. Okay. Great job so far. So this is a final meditation. Then we'll chat, bright and beautiful, and then we'll seal the class at the end with a beautiful song and blessing for everyone. And let's see here. Let me pull the music up. So this is very simple, very powerful meditation. And if you need to stretch your legs out right now or have a water, please do so. We're going to do it in about 5 minutes. It can be done much longer, but I think you're going to see that even within just a few minutes, 5-ish minutes, it can have a very wonderful effect. That's why I love this stuff, It's like it doesn't tell anyone. Need not change like your belief system or you have a religion, you don't have a religion, or any of that kind of stuff. It's just like, okay, there's a short circuit in the system. Just push this way and pull this way and adjust this way and get the electricity moving in the body again. The zest for life, the juice for life comes back, the love comes back in, or if it's there, it even expands and strengthens, and then that heaviness decreases, or that constant fears and worries decreases. And some of it's not like fears and anxieties and worries or depression. That some of it's very, very like, you may have clinical depression, clinical anxiety. Well, this is very, very good stuff. But then there's many people that, don't have like clinical depression or clinical anxiety, but we just tolerate like this low grade anxiousness and or unhappiness, lacklusterness, and we allow that to just remain in our lives. And this is what we want to cut through and raise the bar in our expectations for how we can live, and then do the hard work. And it's difficult work. It's difficult to do anything consistently. And there are difficult parts of these practices. Maybe some of this has been difficult. Maybe it hasn't. I don't know. But I've never done a yoga practice. I've never done a Kundalini yoga exercise or meditation that was more difficult than chronic depression or chronic insecurity or chronic anxiousness or chronic passive-aggressive behavior. That stuff is difficult when that stuff is allowed to just like persist in a person. And you or me, we all know what that's like to some extent. And that's far more difficult than anything you'll do in the practice. And that's what we want to say. It's fine to have anxiousness. It's fine to feel depressed. All it is those are not signs that there's something wrong with you. It's just signs that we need to optimize the vehicle, the instrument, the human organism, the body, the mind, the magnetic field. Okay, so here we go. Are you ready? It's a very heart-centered experience, this meditation. You're going to take that wisdom seal, and this time you're holding it up at about the height of your ear with your right hand. And your left hand is at the center of your chest, the heart center. Like that. And then your eyes are closed. So your hand is on your heart center, center of the chest, not the heart muscle, but the heart center, heart chakra, center of the chest. Palm facing forward, index finger seals to your thumb, other 3 fingers pointing straight up. Eyes closed, chest out, chin slightly in, shoulder blades drop. And you're going to close your eyes. And you're going to inhale deep. And you're going to suspend the breath in, and suspend it in, keep it in for as long as you're comfortable. And then you're going to exhale the breath all the way out and push it completely out. And then with the breath held out, you're going to suspend it out, keep it out for as long as you're comfortable. Maybe even stretch your comfort a little. Then you inhale deep. Suspend the breath in, hold it in until you need to exhale. Exhale the breath all the way out. Keep it out with the meditative gaze, meditative awareness. Inhaling deep. Suspending. And then when you need to, exhale. Suspending out. Suspending out the breath starts to conquer the fear tendencies. And then when you need to, inhale. And then continue. You should press your comfort zone a little bit with your breath capacity, but you shouldn't do it to the point where you feel like you're having to gasp. Yeah, so there's like a very clear middle ground there. Then just find that and just do your best. Hold the posture as still as you can. Imagine like you're making your whole body like an antenna for the energy of the creation, of the infinite, of the energy of love, intelligence that animates all of life, all people, all animals, all plants. Keep with that breathing pattern and do your best to just, as thoughts come, let them be there and then let them pass away. And your job is to simply do your best to concentrate on the breathing. Eyes closed. Keep the body as still as possible and hold in the posture. Keep up, continue, recommit, renew your focus. Last little bit, please concentrate on the breath. last little bit, keep up. Imagine you're like a statue with your posture, and breathe the deep breath. Now inhale deeply, hold the posture, and suspend the breath and be completely still. Lift up through that rectum, sex organ, navel, and then roll the gaze up and in to the third eye point. Hold the posture and exhale through the nose. Now deeply inhale through the nose. And suspend the breath and be perfectly still and draw the gaze where the root of the nose meets the skull bone. Lift up, rectum, sex organ, navel up and in, and be completely still and concentrate at the third eye. Exhale. Last time, deepest inhale. And suspend. And exhale. And relax the posture. And just meditate for a few moments. Even with mantra music, when it's done well, as in this case, it has the same, encourages the movement of energy, and the same thing you're doing in a yoga practice. Lift circulating energy to feed the higher centers, drawing it out of the lower triangle where the subconscious dominates and old habits are able to proliferate and maintain themselves. And then you can create new energy, new habits. It encourages, even the music encourages the space change, because that's what we're trying to produce, is a space change. If it's cold and rainy outside, a lot of the problems that I have that have to do with being wet and cold are going to disappear when I can come into the warm, cozy home. And that's essentially what we're doing, is a lot of the problems disappear when I change the internal climate, the internal environment. That happens primarily at the life force level. But we use the body, and we use the breath, and we use the mantra in the mind. All the mantra means is man, which is mind, and tarang, which is wave. So all the mantra is a wave of the mind. So everyone is chanting a mantra already. Question is, what is it? And we allow this internal dialogue and just the stress in place that keeps what we're trying to actually move beyond in place. So to actually move beyond that which we'd like to move beyond from, and to actually experience that which we desire, more happiness, more health and vitality, more love, real love, that doesn't require stimulus from the outside to maintain it. We have to transport ourselves, so to speak, into a new space. And there's nothing I know that works as quickly to do that, to transport a person to a new space and then to maintain that space, as the Kundalini yoga practice. And it's just very simple. It's just, okay, there's a short circuit in the system. then the depression sets in, or there's too much electricity moving through the system, it's anxiousness, no ability to digest anything. Or there's like a blown fuse, there's a like bursts of anger, and etc., etc., etc. So instead of this being the whole guilt trip around all the emotions and it feeling like there's something wrong with me that I have to fix or improve, it's like, no, there's nothing wrong with you. You are perfect. By the fact that you exist, the fact that you are you, is that you're perfect. We just need the mind to operate properly, and we need the body to have good vitality so that the mind can operate well. And that's the heart of it. This is that simple, yeah? So we created this beginner's experience, which is something I'd been wanting to do for a long time. We have many, many courses. We have our whole Life Force Academy, which is an online membership community. But we didn't have anything quite yet that was really designed purely to serve brand new beginners or relatively new beginners. And that's what we've just created. It's called Bright and Beautiful. It's a home course you can do from your home anywhere in the world on your own time. And it's a beautiful thing, and I'm very, very happy with it. And this was just a little bit of a taste, and the full Bright and Beautiful course will take you step by step, A to Z, in how to do the practice, and by the end of it, you'll very much be able to have a personal practice that you can use on a regular basis to keep the body healthy, to keep the energy circulated, to keep the mind clear. Because if you do those three things, keep the body healthy, the energy circulated, and the mind clear, then pretty much the rest of life will take care of itself, relatively speaking. Does it mean we won't still have hard times? Of course not. That's what life is about, good times and hard times. But what ends up happening is this, and this is what I think is maybe the most important thing, is that we want to create the space, the vitality for ourselves, that regardless if I'm having good times in my life or very difficult times in my life, the net result, the end result of that experience will be deeper love, more heart, more awareness, and in many cases even more vitality. It will make you more of what you are. And in that sense, even painful circumstances have great value, because when you're in pain, your love can become very strong, your prayers can become very powerful. And then when you have good times and things are flowing well, you really can enjoy that. And it's not that big of a deal. So that's all we're trying to do but it does take consistency, because if you do it just, on a Friday in November in 2017, the effects of that are great, but they're not going to be long lasting unless there may be little things that are long lasting. Oh yeah, I did that and that really changed my perspective on some things. But in terms of the real deal, everyday prosperity, vitality, this is something that needs to happen regularly. And that's why we create the course. I know how this can help people, because I've just seen it thousands and thousands of times. And I've most importantly experienced it with myself. And so we wanted to create something that anyone can do. It's very simple. It will introduce you in a way that's very easy and accessible. Not fluffy either. And also definitely not dogmatic. And I want it to be simple enough that anyone will feel comfortable, I hope, doing it. But also deep enough and substantive enough that I really explain it well, teach it well, and give you a powerful experience. And I think we did a really good job of doing that, producing that. And that's what this Bright and Beautiful course is. It's 4 modules. And the first module comes out a week from Tuesday. And then the second module a week after that, third a week after that, and fourth a week after that. And it's designed for you to take, because you can take the modules as many times as you want. And within each module, you'll have a part of the class and they're separated videos. Part of the class where I'll be explaining the principles, the technique, even some of the philosophy. And then you have another video that has the actual practice. And then you can keep going back to that practice over and over again. You can download the entire course to your computer, so you don't have to rely on the internet connection. And if you want to like go somewhere, out to the, river or to the beach or something like that, and don't have an internet connection, you can do that. Or you can just stream it on the site. And so it has a full practice, each module, a full teaching section, a full practice, and it has what's called essentials, which will explain, all right, here's what this is about. Because in the practice part, I want you to just get deep into it and not have to be thinking about nuances. But I also want you to understand this thing, even certain things like, what's up with some of these people wearing turbans? And by the way, that is not something that is required at all. I explain it more in the course. Some people choose it. Covering the head holds the energy, keeps people from being spacey. The beard has to do with the male nervous system, etc. It's not a religious thing, although to most people it looks that way. Anyhow, those are little subtle refinements some people choose to do, most people do not. And it is nothing that is required in terms of how am I going to dress. You don't need to change really anything about your lifestyle, your dress, your diet, unless you wanted to at some point because, this type of food doesn't vibe with me anymore. That may happen. That's I'll give you that disclaimer. You may be less attracted to certain things in your life that you used to be attracted to because the vibe changes and the field of energy changes. And I think that's a much better way of going about it than fighting with bad habits. Instead, just add the yoga. That's what I tell people all the time. Just add the yoga. Do whatever you're currently doing, add the yoga. And the things that, if you're consistent with it, the things that really need to change because they're not serving you in reality will change over time, but they'll change in a way that's gradual and not like a fighting, pushing, pulling. And so anyone can do this. And the first module takes you deeper into like these breathing practices, and you do more of the exercises. You do a full yoga set. And I unpack really how to understand it, how to do it properly. And the second module, it goes more into the postures and into working with the body and the different yoga postures and simple ones that you can use. And once again, each module has a teaching section, the practice section, and then the module essentials that break apart certain, small little things that you want to think about. And then the third module goes deeper into the mind and how to work with your mind, and then also the fourth further into the mind and mantra, using mantra, breath, using the body, all of these things to make the life force energy healthy, the body have vitality, and the mind clear. That's the heart of it. And then also for everyone who jumps in for the course, we do a live webcast class. We do a couple live webcast classes that are question and answer. So as you're going through this course, you'll be able to, on the course page, submit your questions into me. So anything, hey, I've been trying this, but I'm not quite sure if I'm doing it right. What is this all about? You submit those questions, and then we'll have 2 question and answer sessions, one about midway through the course and one towards the end of the course. I say that midway meaning the course schedule release, but you have indefinite access. So if you can't begin right away on this course, you can get it now, but then it'll be just waiting for you when you're ready. You have lifetime access to it. So there's not a time limit on when you need to finish it. But about 2 weeks in, I'll do the first Q&A class, and then the 2 weeks after that, we'll do the second one. And if we need to do 3 or 4 of them, we will. It depends how many questions are coming in. We've already had lots and lots of people joining. We opened up this course just a few days ago. Registration closes pretty soon. So if you want to get in, you'll want to jump on it pretty quick. The regular price for the course is $300. And that gives you everything. The 4 modules, 2 Q&As, and then also there's a bonus live Kundalini Yoga webcast, kind of like this, but more in depth that we'll do together. That's exclusive for the members of Bright and Beautiful course. If you get the course now, and because this is the first time we're launching the course, and because for those of you who have attended this webcast or did our online workshop, if you get in now, it's half off. So it's only $150 and gets you all of that. And in addition to that, it gets you what I think is probably the most valuable part of it. Not everybody's able to do this part, but we have our big live immersion here in Northern California in June. And that'll get you free tuition to that live immersion. All you have to do is pay the food and lodging for the retreat center, which is very cost efficient, very reasonable, but the tuition to the course is free. So that's actually costs more than the course itself. So it's a really cool deal, and that's, in my opinion, the best thing we do every year. But it does fill up, so it doesn't guarantee you a spot. You still have to register your food and lodging package if you decide to do that in order to secure your spot there. And it will definitely sell out. It does every year. We can only have about 120 people there, and so it sells out pretty quick and well in advance. But that is a bonus of this course if you get the course. And if you're not able to come this year, that bonus can extend to the next one after that. So there's no pressure there. So that's the thing. You can join. All the information you want to learn about the course is here. And also, though, if you can't do the full 150 right now, then there's a payment plan, and that's, you can see it below the video here. And it's just 3 installments of only $60, and that's once a month, $60 once a month for 3 months. So if that's easier for you and that'll help you get in, you still get immediate access to it. And then also, if you get the course and for any reason whatsoever you decide this just isn't for me, all you gotta do is email our team and they'll send you a full refund. And it doesn't matter, as long as you're within 60 days, you'll get a full refund if for any reason. And we're happy to do that because we do that all the time, and very few people do, but occasionally, it's not for me. So we're happy to give you a refund if you get it, and then that's what you find out to be the case. Regardless if you're moving forward or not with the full course, I hope you will if you can. I'd love to work with you. I'd love to teach you this system. I'd love to be your guide through this. I've been doing it a long time, and it's what I do. It's what I love to do. And I'd love to help you out with it. And I'm pretty confident you will. If you take the deep dive, you'd be very happy you did. But if you can't, or you're not going to, or you choose not to, I hope that this experience today was worthwhile for you and that you got something good out of it. And I'm very happy that you joined us, and I'm happy to be here with all of you, and I'm happy to just be alive. And those of you who are celebrating the holiday, happy Thanksgiving. And I know many of you are in other parts of the world, and maybe it's not a holiday weekend, but wishing you a beautiful weekend. Those of you with your families and traveling, hoping you really soak that up and enjoy that time with your family. And join in the course. It's closing soon. Registration for the course does close soon, but you can get it half off right now if you get in. And love to you all. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thanks so much for attending. Satnam.